Alright, so today we are looking at several different properties of matter, and so we might just label as part of our notes properties. We're going to look at two of them, and the first has to do with kind of differentiating between physical properties and chemical properties. Alright, so physical properties. You can look at the PowerPoint to get a definition of this, but physical might just be physical properties do not change, like things that we can observe or test that do not change the atoms or molecules. Again, these are physical properties. So again, things that we can observe or test if we're looking at something, smelling something, testing something. So really these are things that we can sense. Okay, so some physical properties might be color, texture. What else might be a physical property? Smell, taste. We might talk about some other examples. Something opaque, is it see-through? Is it cloudy? Is it milky? Is it chunky? Let's see, what are some other things? Does it glow in the dark? Does it not glow in the dark? That'd be a physical property. But things that don't actually change our atoms or molecules. Alright? And our other type of property we can contrast would be a chemical property. And a chemical properties, I don't necessarily need to write this, but it does change. Alright, so I'm just going to put does change and ... And again, you can get a different definition off the PowerPoint, but that'll kind of do for now. And let's see, so some examples of chemical properties might be, does something react? So reactivity. So we know if we leave a piece of iron out on your porch and it rains, what's going to eventually happen to that piece of iron? It's going to rust. Okay. Is rust something different than iron? It is, and later on this year you'll hopefully find out that that's iron oxide. Okay, a completely different molecule. The atoms are rearranged to make a compound. Okay, so reactivity. Let's see, what else? There's another type of reactivity, but we might say flammability. Okay, when something burns, it gets changed into something completely different. If we have a piece of paper, we might say that paper is white, it's flat, it's smooth. What happens when we put a match up to it? Alright, it burns, and now is it white and smooth anymore? No, it turns into like a black charred type substance, and it's kind of all flaky and ashy. Okay, so that's just real quick. Properties, we can have physical properties, or we can have chemical properties. There's some examples there, and that's part one. The next type of property we're going to look at has to do with kind of, does the size of our thing matter? Alright, so our second type of property that we're going to look at has to do with size. Alright, there's two words that we kind of talk about when we're dealing with this. Alright, so intensive properties. Intensive. And here kind of our root is int, okay, or within. Intensive properties, we're just going to say size does not matter. Alright, so if we go back to our piece of paper, if we are thinking about a piece of paper, there's several properties we can mention. We can mention if it's just a piece of copy paper, it is white, okay? And that doesn't matter if I've got a piece of copy paper right here. If I have this whole sheet, or if I were to rip this sheet in half, both those pieces would be white. We'll just do that. Okay. So what else is true about these two sheets? They're smooth. Okay, so we could say that about their texture. Okay, they're both smooth, and that's an intensive property. Whether they have a big sheet of paper or a small sheet of paper, that's true. White, smooth. odorless or something like that. It might smell like paper. So those are things that are intensive. Our other type of property, which we're going to kind of compare and contrast a little bit, has to do with extensive properties. Okay. And again, kind of our root, x, okay, or outside of, size does matter. Does matter. Right. And we'll just rip this one in half again. Okay. So what's different about these two sheets of paper? All right. If I put them up, we've got kind of a half sheet and a quarter sheet. So things that are the same, color, texture. What's different? Length or width would be things that are different. If we were to weigh these two sheets of paper, what would be true about their masses? They would be different. Okay, so things that depend on the size are known as extensive properties, and things that do not depend on size are known as intensive properties.